Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nanshi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I have come here on your platform because I wish to share with you everything that I am going through. Yes, to the outside world, people might think that I am a woman that is enjoying her money, but the money that I have, it is just fake money. It is an illusion. I do not even have any money at all. It is far much better for someone to be poor than to rely on this occultic world as I am doing, to know that the devil owns you, he owns your soul. Anything that you have to do, he has to approve of it. The house that I live in, I can say that it is real, but as for the cars, one of the vehicle that I use, as beautiful as it is not even there. It is like magic. Yes, indeed, I agree with you whenever you say strange things they do happen in this world. So my story, it started when we were still in South Africa. My husband, he was a boiler maker. He went to South Africa and he left me back home in Zim. And then he started working. It is not like he was making a lot of money, but at the farm where he was working at, he then fell in love with this other old woman who was a South African. That woman, as old as she was, older than him, than his own mom, made him to fall in love, and then they got married. My husband, he stopped communicating with me. I stayed, waited for my husband for about 4 years. And when I saw that my husband was gone and he was never coming back, that was when my mother-in-law said, what else can we do? Maybe you need to return back to your parents, or I can take you to a traditional healer where we can see if it will be possible for us to at least have him back. We were suffering at that time, me and my mother-in-law. I still remember that we would go into the forest where we would gather some fruits. That was all that we were surviving on. Sometimes we would go for days and days without eating a proper meal, yet we would hear that my husband, at least he was making some money on the farm where he was working, and then during the weekends he would go out and he would do some piece jobs. The money that he was getting, he was giving it to the woman. By the time that I arrived in South Africa, that woman had managed to build herself a very beautiful home, all because of my husband. So I agreed, because I did not want to return to my parents, because I had waited for my husband without ever cheating on him, without ever doing things that were so bad against him. So I said that it is far much better for me to go to the place where my mother-in-law was instructing me to go. Me and my mother-in-law, we went to that traditional healer. When we arrived at that traditional healer, I was then told that it was going to be a little bit challenging for me to get my husband back, but all that was needed was for some rituals to be done. These rituals that were going to be done, those were the ones that were going to make him stop loving that woman, and to make that woman to stop loving my husband, so that they can fight, so that they can never find peace in their so-called fake marriage. They should fight with each other. The woman should start cheating on him as he will be cheating on her, so that they can abandon whatever love that they thought that they had in between them. This traditional healer then told me that all that I was supposed to do was to buy a chicken. I then bought a chicken, and then I went with that chicken into the forest, and I then named this chicken after that woman who was sleeping and staying with my husband. And I said, as I am leaving this chicken in this forest, as this chicken will be wandering around in this forest, trying to find its way out of this forest, you are going to do the same. When you are looking at my husband, you are going to feel as if you are a prisoner in your own home. You will be wondering, how can you get rid of him? You will start to regret ever letting him into your home. I then bought another chicken, and this chicken that I bought, I took it into another forest and I left it there after I had named it after my husband, and I said that as this chicken will be wandering around in this forest, that is when you will be wondering what you are doing with such an old woman. You will start to think about your family, the family that you would have left back home. This I did with the third chicken that I bought at the traditional healer's shrine. The traditional healer then said, this chicken, you are supposed to take it with you back to your village, and then you are supposed to speak with it as if it is your husband until the day when your husband returns back. You are supposed to slaughter this chicken the day that your husband arrives. Slaughter this chicken, cook a nice meal for him, and use this charm, my daughter. These charms will make him to totally forget about the woman that he left in South Africa. So me and my mother-in-law, we took care of that chicken each and every morning. We would wake up, feed it. It used to stay inside the house because we were scared that if we would leave it with the other chickens in the chicken coop, maybe a snake would come and bite it. For he had said that he had made sure that my husband's soul was tied to the soul of that chicken. And indeed, my husband came back and he returned back to me. I had just did a return back to me, my love potion. And I was happy about that. Me and my husband, we stayed together maybe for a couple of months. Then we returned to South Africa together. Since I was already in communication with that traditional healer, each and everything that I would do, I would make sure that I informed that traditional healer. So I had a secret relationship with him, not like we were sleeping together, but he was more like my own parent. And I would not even inform my own mother because she is someone who loves God. And I just wanted to see if I can be assisted using my own ancestors rather than to go to God directly, because I thought that it was not working. Because the time when my husband was in South Africa cheating on me, I would cry, I would beg God to make it stop, for the pain was too much, but God would ignore me. But my ancestors, when I cried to them, only once they responded to me swiftly. So there was a time when me and my husband returned back to him, and then I went in secret to that same traditional healer. I told him that I was tired. I did not want to return back to South Africa for the money that we were making. It was not enough. I wanted something that could assist me. Whilst I was speaking with that traditional healer, that was when he said that, indeed, I know that you want me to help you. I even see that in the future, you're going to be able to build even a very big mansion. Do you want that to happen? But this mansion, after I had said, yes, he said, it is going to be built on blood, on his blood. I said, whose blood? And he said, you have to bury your husband's head under the very first floor, and that is what is going to be giving you money. I do live in a very beautiful home, expensive cars, and I do have money. But like I said, this money, it is not real. It is just an illusion that makes people to think that it is real money. Even the people that work for me, I can give you your salary at the end of the month, but you will never do anything with it because it is not even real money. So at that time, when he told me about using a human head for these rituals, I said, is that even possible? I am scared. I don't want to be caught by the police. He then said that, okay, if you are afraid to have him killed physically, leave it to me. All that you have to do is you need to buy a black bull. And after you would have bought a black bull, then inform me, then we can do that ritual. I hustled for that money. I don't know how many men that I slept with. I would sleep with a guy and then I'll put the money aside until I had raised enough money. I returned back to him and I showed him the money, which was $680, which I gave to him. And he said he was going to make a plan, and he purchased a black bull for me, which we then slaughtered. And after I had named this bull with my husband's name, as we slaughtered this bull, we were celebrating the death of my husband. They took the head of that bull, and this traditional healer told me that he was going to preserve it, for it had to be fresh after my husband would have died. And when I would have made money, I was going to use that head of the bull, which will be representing my husband's head, He then told me that there was more blood that was going to be needed, so I ended up sacrificing my little sister, and her blood appeared in a very big dish in which he was placing that bull's head and preserving it. I stayed like that for nearly a year. When I was just making money out of thin air, he directed me to the place where I was going to buy the stand where I was going to build my mansion. After that, when the builders had dug up the foundation, I called him. We went to that place and we buried this bull's head in the middle of the night. But to my surprise, after we had finished digging a hole which was almost half a meter deep into that foundation, when I was looking at the bull's head, I saw that it was my husband's face instead of the bull's head. That is what I saw. He told me not to panic. We buried it, and then after that we covered it, and he told me that as long as it stayed there, I would be making my money. So on top of that foundation, that is where I then built this other room, which I do not allow anyone to enter. It is always empty, where I perform my rituals. I do sometimes slaughter some chickens directly on the place where we buried that bull's head. That is where I sprinkle blood, and I can even see the blood as it will be sinking deep into the tiles, straight into the foundation, so that my husband's he can quench his thirst and he can work for me. That is my own confession. If you post my story, tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.